The playoff matchups are set. We know it's the Battle of Ontario. Why does this year feel like it could be the year the Leafs get it done? You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Currently, the Maple Leafs favored on FanDuel when it comes to the Battle of Ontario. So if you feel good about the Buds winning the first round and beating the Senators in the best of 7, you can place that wager over on FanDuel at any time. We will be giving our reasons as to why this year feels different. And it seems like we have that conversation every year, but I feel as though there's a lot of positive things to point to that are different this season compared to the seasons prior. And we will get to that list in a little bit. The Maple Leafs still have one more game to get through, one final tune-up before the playoffs start tonight. That'll be against the Detroit Red Wings. But we have all 16 teams locked in to the playoffs and locked and loaded. We know every single playoff matchup as well. It's bizarre that we still have to play games. What's the point, Dave? What is the point of this Thursday slate when there is nothing to be decided when it comes to the playoffs? All 16 teams have clinched, and all 16 teams are slotted exactly where they will be come playoff time.
Yeah, and just you're seeing players now dropping like flies too, getting hurt.
Yeah, which worries you a little bit for tonight because, well, unfortunately for Toronto, like you see other teams, the rest, like Edmonton's resting McDavid. You saw Vegas resting some players the last couple of days. You saw the Hurricanes rest some of their players tonight against Montreal. Toronto doesn't have the opportunity to do that because of their roster and cap situation. Like the fact that OEL and Jake McCabe and David Kampf are injured but not on LTIR, they're unable to open up any cap space to make these to bring guys up, to give people a rest. And it's really unfortunate for Toronto that they can't do that. I suppose they really wanted to. They could play a man short or two guys short tonight, but now you're putting a little bit of stress on everyone else who is playing. So I expect to see a full lineup tonight, and the Leafs can't really afford to let anyone rest. It just isn't really possible because of the health situation and cap structure.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate because this is a game here where you kind of wish you could throw in a bunch of guys that need the reps heading into the playoffs, because literally the top guys don't need the reps. Top guys just need to make it to game one.
Yeah.
Without any concern of anything bad happening.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's why you were a little bit concerned, but that's basically all you're hoping for tonight. I think, obviously you always want to win. You always want to play your best, but tonight might not be a night where I'd be upset if we saw guys like Austin Matthews or Chris Tanev, Flamingo in front of a shot. You don't need to block a shot tonight. It truly does not matter whether you lose 5-1 or you win 5-1 tonight. Just get through the game healthy, and that's what we want to see. But all 8 playoff matchups are now set with the Habs clinching tonight. They defeated the Carolina Hurricanes 4-2, and they pick up that final wild card spot. They'll play Washington, which is going to be an interesting series, something that we saw years ago. So that'll be fun. So here are the 8 that we will see in the first round. Obviously, the Battle of Ontario, Toronto, and Ottawa. We've got Washington, Montreal, the Battle of Florida between Tampa and Florida. And then you've got on the other side, on the Metro, you do have the Hurricanes and the Devils as the final Eastern side. And then out west, you've got the Blues and the Jets going toe-to-toe. You've got Dallas and the Avalanche, the Rantanen Bowl. That'll be interesting. Vegas and Minnesota. And then for the fifth straight year, we've got Kings Oilers again here this playoff. Kings and Oilers. Oh, yeah, par for the course. So that's it. No matter what happens on Thursday, the final day of the regular season, it has no bearing on who's making or missing the playoffs and no bearing on seeding either. Everyone just hoping to stay healthy and get to game one.
That's really all I'm hoping for. And like you saw Carolina, the lineup that they put out against the Canadians.
Yeah.
I think like 6 regulars were not playing in this game. Like
if you're Columbus, how pissed are you if you're Columbus though? Like you didn't really get a fair shake there. I mean, if you're Columbus, I suppose you should have won an extra game at some point, or maybe when you played Montreal, should have beat Montreal and took those full 2 points and be a different situation, I suppose. But still, it's I don't know. There's an argument to be made that once you start doing that, it really does somewhat mess with the integrity of the game, I suppose. Or at least the integrity of an 82 game season. I don't know. There's an argument to be made there, but I don't blame Carolina. I wouldn't want Toronto icing a full roster if they didn't have to either, but unfortunately they do tonight.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate, and like, especially considering like these games, what it meant for Columbus, but like Carolina ain't doing Columbus no favors. I mean, no. I wouldn't want if I was if the Leafs were in that situation where it was Montreal needed the Leafs to play their full lineup against the team. Nah. Sorry, man. Like, ain't happening. We got to think about round 1 of the playoffs because, again, to think of a player getting hurt in a game that didn't matter for your team, not a great look.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, so it's all set. It's all set before the final night of the regular season, which is tonight, and the Maple Leafs are taking on the Detroit Red Wings. So you can watch that game. I think it's a TSN game on TV and Sportsnet, the Fan 590 on radio. But coming up next, Dave, let's get into this because I don't know. The last couple of days, everyone who I've come in contact with keeps asking me the same question. You think they finally do it this year? And I was asking myself, do I? What makes me think it could be the season? So I put together a little list. I've got 3 reasons why this could be the year, Dave. Why this could be the year. Why we should believe. And we'll get to that list next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. The NHL playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. I love how FanDuel is making betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team to win or diving into player props from goal scorers to assists to hits. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game starts, you can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you on the Locked On Leafs podcast. Free and available wherever you get a podcast, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, going all throughout the playoffs. So if you want to know what's going on and keep locked into what's happening with the Maple Leafs, make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On Leafs podcast. Free and available wherever you get a podcast and also up on YouTube. So we know it's the Battle of Ontario. So we know it's going to be Toronto versus Ottawa, and it's the preferred matchup. I think we can all agree that this is definitely an opponent that we would want to see, not only for the storyline, the Battle of Ontario, but also because, well, quite frankly, I'd want to stay away from Florida and Tampa as long as possible. Let those two beat up on each other, and then hopefully Toronto can take care of business, and then they can, take on one of those two teams in round 2, and we'll go from there. But again, like I was saying before, I'm sure you've gotten the same question, right? You think they're going to do it this year? Can they finally get it done? The team hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. There were 6 teams in the league when that happened, Dave. There were 6 teams in the league the last time they won a Stanley Cup. There's now 32. There's been a lot of teams who've come into the league and won championships, and Toronto's still looking for their first since 1967. Here are 3 reasons why this could be the year, at least why you can have some belief in this Leaf squad this season. Number 1, Dave, for me, and I'll give mine, and then you give yours on the other side here. But number 1 for me, it's the blue line. I think they finally have a deep blue line that can compete in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think they've got an elite shutdown pair in Jake McCabe and Chris Tanev. This is assuming that they can all stay healthy, that is, and hopefully McCabe is good to go for game 1, and we can get cooking there. Same with OEL. But that's a great pair. They brought in Brandon Carlo to put him next to Morgan Riley. Those two have been a great duo since he got here. The numbers have looked good. So you've got a solid second pair in Riley and Brandon Carlo, and then OEL anchoring a third pair with Simon Benoit. Like, you just have 3 solid pairs that can do a little bit of everything. You've got size on each pair too. I like the size of this blue line as well. They're big, they're strong, they're heavy, and you got a couple puck movers as well who can get the puck up to those skilled forwards. So I really like the look of this blue line. I think it's the best defensive core that the team has had in the Matthews Marner era. I don't think that's indisputable at this point. And when I look at, previous Cup champions, they all have a great blue line. Right? Like, it's pretty hard to win a championship if you can't stop the opposition in Toronto, especially the way that they've been playing recently. That blue line's absolutely in check. We've got to get healthy, obviously, and stay healthy as much as possible. But that blue line gives me some confidence that things could be a little bit different this year.
Game 1 last year, the Leafs dressed these 3 blue liners: Timothy Liljegren,
Gross,
Ilya Lyubushkin,
gross,
Joel Edmondson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those 3 were have been replaced by Oliver Ekman-Larsson,
good player,
Brandon Carlo,
good player,
Chris Tanev,
great player. Those are significant improvements. Like, you take that 3, like the subtraction, and then you add those 3. That is a massive improvement on the back end.
To me, that's, again, it's not just that they added 3 new guys, 3 new established players. Oliver Ekman-Larsson won a cup last year.
Yeah.
Brandon Carlo, he's been a thorn in the Leafs side for how many years with Boston?
Yep.
He knows a thing or two about what this team has gone through.
Established playoff performer also, obviously.
Yep. Chris Tanev played pretty good last year for the Dallas Stars. He hasn't tasted as much postseason, but when he did, he went up against guys like, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon. So I think you're very much comfortable with what a guy like him is going to be able to do when you can rely on a player of his stature go out there. Also, I got a little bit of a bone to pick. I know we're going to have our Locked On Sens, Locked On Leafs crossover.
Yeah.
Did you see the ranking that our boys at Locked On Senators put out of the blue liners going into this postseason?
You want to bring it up?
I'm going to bring it up right now.
You should bring up the tweet. I did not see the ranking, but I did Locked On NHL earlier today. Recorded it with Ross, the host there, and he did utter a phrase that I thought was a little bizarre, saying how they have the best blue liner in the series in reference to Jake Sanderson, which, I mean, I think it's a little bit premature. I think Sanderson will probably end up being the best defenseman of the bunch just because of his two-way ability. But right now, I think I would definitely feel more I would feel more safe with Tanev in a playoff series over Jake Sanderson at this point. It could change, but right now I would have had Tanev ahead of Sanderson.
When I first initially read the list, did they forget Jake McCabe?
Well, the fact that he's so low, I mean, how do you have Jake
McCabe on the list?
Casuals, bro. These are casuals. Like, that's just such a casual take.
We're going to have a bone to pick with these guys because I'm sorry. But you're gonna tell me you'd rather have Thomas Chabot out there defending?
Hang on. Morgan Riley under Tyler Clevin? What is this boys? What is this? Okay, so we're gonna have the guys on. I think we're doing a show Friday morning potentially, and we'll have it. We're doing a preview that we'll probably put out on the weekend. We got to talk to him about that because Jake McCabe at 7, Morgan Riley at 10. You're gonna have. Tell me Artem Zub is a better defenseman than Jake McCabe and Morgan Riley. Tyler Clevin, a better defenseman than Morgan Riley.
I know Morgan Riley. That is absolute trolling. Also,
OEL, they had OEL in the top. OEL's under both Jake McCabe and Morgan Riley. Like, what are we talking about here, boys? That's crazy. Yeah, I knew Sanderson was at the top, but I didn't realize what the rest of that ranking looked like. And man, those guys,
they know how to rile us up. And I'll say this: underestimate this Leafs blue line at your own risk, Ottawa.
Yeah.
Underestimate that at your own risk.
I would love to, at the end of the series, get them to re-rank. Let's get them to re-rank the top 10. All right, who are the most impactful defensemen in this series? Go ahead, re-rank it when we're all said and done. That's what we'll do. We'll put you know what? We should come up with our own to counter it, and then we re-rank them at the end of the series and see how different it ranks. So for tomorrow's podcast, that's what we got to do. We're going to do it. Let's do all positions, actually. Let's do centers, wingers, and defensemen. That's what we're going to do. We're going to power rank. That's Friday's episode. Power ranking the players in these in this series with the Leafs and the Sens. That's tomorrow's episode. So we're going to counteract what the boys did on Locked On Sens with our own little list. So get ready, fellas, because it's coming. That's insane. Absolute insanity. But the blue line is why I have faith. They may not have much faith in the blue line considering that ranking, but I can tell you that I'll take Toronto's over Ottawa's any day of the week. Any day of the week. And that's absolutely absurd that they had Chabot, Zub, Nick Jensen, Tyler Clevin ranked ahead of ridiculousness. But anyways, the blue line is the biggest reason as to why things are different, or one of the reasons as to why things are different. And accompanying that is my second reason, and it's Craig Berube and the system of hockey that he's brought to the team, which is included with how the blue line plays. But I think that the team just plays super connected, and they play simple, and they play a hard physical brand of hockey, which is what wins in the playoffs. And it's not just in the defensive end, it's also in the offensive end, right? They play down low a lot. They'll dump the puck in, and they'll crash and bang. Guys like Matthew Nyes using his body in front of the net, or using, his weight to throw around in the corners to win puck battles, right? Guys like Matthews winning puck battles. Look at the way that, they scored the Marner goal last night. What happened? Matthews won a loose puck battle, allowed Nyes to get to the puck first by tying up the defenseman, and then that led to a goal. And that's what that line specifically has done a really good job of in the last, 4 games or so, of winning loose puck battles, keeping possession alive in the offensive end, forcing turnovers in the O zone. Like, that's what that line's been able to do. And that's part of Craig Berube's system. Just lean on them, play difficult, get sticks, disrupt plays with sticks. And that's what that line can do. And I just think top to bottom, it's a much heavier lineup, obviously. And it's just, they're just playing a more simple brand of hockey that wins in the postseason. But we'll see. They got to continue it through, and we got to watch it actually come through in the postseason. We've seen it at times in the regular season, and then it kind of fades. But the way that they've played, and Craig Berube's got the team to buy in, I like what I'm seeing.
I just see a team here that has a better understanding of what's needed in the series where teams are going to try to clamp down, right? That's been the Leafs' problem, right? Teams, check a little bit harder, try to make things a little bit harder. So you got to find a way to, win in those situations. And he says exactly when the Leafs don't do well in these games, he knows got to win the puck battles, spend less time in our own zone, spend more time in the other zone. Like
Yeah.
he understands, I think, has a better understanding of the simplicity that is needed to come out in and win these playoff games. You know, for one of mine, special teams.
Yeah.
The power play. I have a little more faith in the power play this year, which is interesting because every time they come out on the ice, sometimes we don't feel like we'd have that faith. But the numbers have spoken for themselves during this stretch.
Yeah.
They're playing really good special teams. Penalty kill needs work. I'm a little concerned about the penalty kill, but the power play, at least I'll know that the power play shouldn't be the reason they lose a series.
The power play's cooking. That was my third reason, was the power play is cooking. Like, that's literally what I have written down here on my papers. The power play's cooking. And I think that's not something that we've seen going into the postseason in quite some time. Like, you think back the last couple of years, the power play's been ice cold going into the playoffs, and it just continues into the postseason. And that's been an absolute killer for this team as they fail to find offense because they fail to score at the man advantage. Well, you look at the stats since January 15th, and that's about when the team's power play started to turn things around. But since then, and that's a pretty large sample size, it's almost half the season, their power play has been 31%. 31% since January 15th. That's the second best in the NHL over that stretch. And I think that's a huge, huge benefit this year. That 5-man power play unit has been excellent. They're scoring a lot, they're converting. And you look at the Ottawa Senators, I look at that PK, it's what, 77%, 76% penalty kill. I mean, they should be able to give Toronto a lot of fits. And I've been on record as saying this. I believe that early on in this series, we're probably going to see a lot of penalties called early. I think the refs are going to want to set a standard, and I think that Ottawa, with it being their first time in the postseason, are probably going to try and set the tone, quote, set the tone, and they're going to end up going a little bit over the line, and that's going to cause them to get into the box and get into penalty trouble. I think Toronto has the power play to make them pay this year. And I think early in the series, especially, that's really going to come through for Toronto.
Yeah, the discipline for sure. Like the Senators have had their issues, especially, guys like Brady Tkachuk, where, you try to set the tone, but you get a little too overzealous when doing it.
Yeah. Let me see where in terms of penalties this year, where do they rank? Curious. As a team, I imagine they rank somewhere relatively high. Penalties taken this year as a group, where are they at? 10th. So they're top 10 in the league in penalties taken this year. So, rather undisciplined. They're a rather undisciplined team, we could say. All right, so there's my 3 reasons as to why I think the Maple Leafs, this could be the year for the Buds. Those are my 3 reasons right there. I think the power play's cooking. I like the defensive style of hockey they seem to be bought into. Berube's system and what he's been able to do behind the bench as the head coach. And I just love the heavy blue line. That blue line out there, the way that they can really move the puck, they can move people in front of the net, they can protect the house. A lot of things to like about what this defensive group looks like. So those are 3 reasons why I think this year could be different. Dave's 3 reasons. He already gave us 1, the power play. The other 2 coming up next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles for EA Sports, College Football 25. You can get yourself some Chell, some Call of Duty, whatever you're looking for, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all for your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and auto low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lighting, fast speeds that you need to stay competitive. Hosts with hardcore gaming experience can share their experience and how Fire Stick 4K can be a game changer. Hosts with casual to little experience can share that this can be a great option to start playing Xbox. And if you got no gaming experience, provides you with a great entertainment choices to get started. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV locked on to get started. Xbox Game Pass, Ultimate subscription, and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire Stick TV 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and the Fire TV Cube. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you on the final game day of the regular season, Game 82 tonight. They got the Detroit Red Wings in town. It's a rather meaningless game. I mean, clearly the Toronto Maple Leafs would like to end the season on a winning note, but more so end the season healthy. That will be the biggest key for Toronto tonight against Detroit. All right, Dave, we've been talking about why this could be different. Why could this be the year? I gave my 3 reasons. You already agreed with one, the power play being one of your reasons. What are the other 2 reasons as to why you think this could be the year the Toronto Maple Leafs make a run?
Well, it's the guy who's on a hot streak now going into the playoffs. That's Anthony Stolarz.
Hey,
You know, as much as we like to look at Linus Ullmark, yep, the guy's won a Vezina. He's done very, he was a big catalyst for the Senators kind of push to get to the wild card. Anthony Stolarz has been on a roll. 8-0-0 in his last 8 starts. He's got 3 shutouts and a .950 save percentage.
Yeah.
You got a hot goalie at the right time. I think that's one of the things that might cancel out a potential advantage Ottawa will have in net is the play of Anthony Stolarz.
And even you look at underlying numbers, Anthony Stolarz is the NHL's leader among all starting goalies who've made 15 or more starts this year in goals saved above expectation. That's a pretty solid stat to lead. That means that you played over and above what was asked of you, made some big time saves for your club. And you're the last line defense and came up and made the big stops, made the saves when you had to keep the team alive. And Stolarz has been excellent. Like you said, he's been unbeatable the last calendar month. And he's for sure going to get the start in game 1. If he keeps rolling, he'll probably go into game 2. I am curious to see how it's going to actually unfold, if they are going to go back and forth no matter what, or if they ride the hot hand and take it night by night. But yeah, man, Anthony Stolarz, the way that he's playing right now, and the fact that he nearly went 2 full games with allowing a goal is quite incredible.
Yeah, I think you just see what he has been able to do. And yeah, I think he only started 1 game against Ottawa in the 3. I know Joseph Woll got 1. I can't remember if he started 1 or 3 of them. The 1 game, I would have called that a wash. Nobody on the team played well that night. It was that 3-0 loss. The other ones were close. It's the Senators. You take away that 1 game, it was more of a balanced effort in those other 2 games. I think Stolarz, if he is playing at this level, I think he's really going to frustrate the Senators. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the last game Ullmark played, he got pulled against, or he didn't play well, I should say, against Chicago?
Chicago? He played the Chicago game?
I think Forsberg. I think maybe Forsberg got the Chicago game, but Ullmark's had some good games, and he's had a game against the Sabres where he allows 4 goals against. What Anthony Stolarz did against the Sabres, he shut him out.
Yeah.
So Ullmark's had a really good year, but it's not been a great year for him.
A bit up and down.
A bit up and down for him.
And there hasn't been a lot of playoff success with him either, to be fair.
No.
So it's not like Bobrovsky or Vasilevsky where there's that playoff success to be worried about. Not quite there with Ullmark. Regular season, sure, but Toronto has a lot of regular season success. What have you done in the playoffs?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure the Leafs beat Ullmark in the playoffs last year.
Yes, technically, they did. They did beat Ullmark, and then they end up going to Swayman. Yeah, you're correct. with that one.
So maybe there'll be a little bit of that belief that, hey, we've beaten this guy. He shouldn't be in our heads.
What's your other one, Dave? What's the final reason that gives you hope?
The depth. I like the scoring. I know that scoring hasn't exactly always been seen as a positive for the Leafs this year, but outside of the core four, I can see other players capable of stepping up in this series. Bobby McMahon, I think ultimately at the end of the day, they might do the right thing and get him in the right matchup against Ottawa, and I think that is in the top 6. And we may not remember, but he did have a really good game against Ottawa this year when he was playing with Marner and Matthews. Remember when those two guys couldn't score, but then Bobby McMahon was able to score?
Yeah, little fixer elixir, Bobby McMahon.
I want to see Bobby McMahon get a top 6 look potentially, because it didn't look good again with Domi on those with Marner with Nylander Tavares. So I'm wondering if McMahon slides into that spot.
Tomorrow we'll have to put together a preferred game 1 lineup as well. That'll be on tomorrow's docket as well, because I go back and forth on that one, because I kind of like Domi in that spot on the second line, but also McMahon. But I guess you'll have to tune in tomorrow to see where I put those two players, I suppose. But yeah, I think you're right, man. Like the Leafs have other guys who can score. Matthew Nyes, I think, is obviously a huge one. Almost 30 goals this year, and he scores. He scores where you score in the playoffs, right? Greasy goals in and around the net. Like that's what happens. And that guy was a rock star in the playoffs last year and the year before he got injured. His first season when he played Tampa and Florida prior to the Nick Cousins hit, he was sensational. So yeah, I think those two players you kind of expect to give you a little bit of added offense. Max Domi, I think he had 4 points last year in the playoffs, so he added a little bit of offense for you. And then just you like the depth on the blue line as well, right? So it's not just the forward depth, but the depth on the blue line. And Scott Lawton adds, maybe something, maybe a little Stevie Lorentz could get you a goal here or there. Right. So I'm with you. I think that this is a pretty deep team, pretty solid lineup that the Maple Leafs have. And, no disrespect to the Senators, but the lineup that they'll be facing off against here isn't quite as daunting as the Tampas, the Floridas, and the previous iterations of the Boston Bruins have been. Not to say Toronto's got to take them easy or that Toronto's going to have an easy time with them. It's still going to be a competitive series, I believe. But on paper, it's not as daunting, and I don't think that's a slap in the face. I think that's just factual when it comes to the Ottawa Senators. So, Toronto's depth should be able to match up and hopefully surpass the Senators with that. So there you go. Those are the 3 reasons why we both believe that this could be the year, and it all starts this weekend. We're hearing possibly Sunday. So it's not Saturday. They announced the Saturday games, so it's going to be Jets. Jets game's going to be Saturday, taking on Minnesota, and then is it the
no? It's Jets Blues.
All right, Jets Blues, and then the Dallas and Colorado game Saturday. And I don't know if you saw Jason Robertson left the game today with a brace on his right knee, so Dallas might be without Jason Robertson. So that stinks. And again, we talk about it. The Leafs, unfortunately, they have to play everyone in this game tonight because of their cap situation. There's no space to call anyone up and no roster slots. So unfortunately, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Riley, Tanev, they're all going to have to play tonight. Let's wrap them all up and let's put some bubble wrap around these guys, get through 60 minutes, get healthy, and then we can look forward to what we believe will be game 1 on Sunday. But before then, we'll get a couple of episodes out to you guys to try and tee up this thing. We've got our power rankings tomorrow for tomorrow's show. We'll put together a mock lineup as well. And then we've got the Locked On Sens boys for a crossover show over the weekend as well. So we'll prep you guys pretty good for game 1 of the Battle of Ontario, which should be coming up this weekend. And we'll make sure we deliver some great coverage to you guys all playoffs long. Just make sure you're locked in to the Locked On Leafs podcast. That'll do it for us here today on the show. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at _Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. Game 82 in the books tonight. Leafs, Red Wings. Go Leafs, go. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.